Gentlemen and ladies, welcome to another episode of the Fruitfully Honest podcast. I am your host, Robert Jones, with my co-host,
Jack Caroselli.
and we are here to rock your world.
Yes, we are.
Because I'm Rob Bass.
Oh, let's do it.
Okay.
So this episode's going to be a little bit different.
Yes.
The first three episodes we've done, first of all, we did an overview up until this point. The second episode, we did the engineering aspect and sort of the inner workings of the building. And then the third episode, excuse me, was the
Money Trail.
money trails.
Yes.
Mostly we talked about Larry Silverstein and the tenants of Building 7. And what I think what we're doing today is we're doing something that we haven't done yet, and that is we're going off the grid almost.
Off the script, off the cusp, we are going to do it.
Up until now, we've had little outlines written, some more extensive than others. So this time we have no outline. We have a topic, and we're just going to go. So today we're going to be talking about how 9/11 Building 7 relates to government, politics, terrorism, anything related to that. And we're just going to talk so we could get some things that you could never get with a script.
Yeah. So basically, my theory about 9/11, the Building 7, the whole situation is that our United States government used this as a way for them to sneak in our lives and see what we're doing, to monitor how we're behaving, to have excuses, to limit our freedoms. I think that is exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's a democratic dictatorship. I think that's what this government
Yes.
is, or some sort of an oligarchy or anything. But 9/11 has changed life for many people and for many different aspects. I know my dad could explain, definitely if I had him on here, could explain the differences before and after. Obviously, me and Robert can't because we were 2 or 3 years old when it happened, but we want to find out answers. And I hate when people question that, when I talk to them about 9/11 and they say...
Yeah, they're like, oh, you guys weren't there back in 2001. You guys were still sucking on your mom's bosoms.
Exactly.
Just stupid, like.
Well, and they use that as a way to discount our
credit and our credibility.
Yeah. But I just want to clarify, just because we are younger doesn't mean much at all, really, because I know a lot of older people, I'm not going to say old people, but older people who
don't
there,
know anything about this
right,
stuff.
who have done no research or anything and just know what happened on the surface, and that's what we're doing. We're going deeper than that, and we want to get to the core of this problem.
Yeah. So Jack, let's talk about some of the changes that we've noticed. The main ones for me is the security in airports and how Muslims are treated.
Yeah.
In our country.
I think
those are the two main ones that I noticed.
I don't know for sure how it was before, but in one of the earlier episodes we did about religion, I talked about how I was a Muslim for a little bit, and I was called many names or whatever and persecuted. It didn't really hurt me personally, but it made me realize a lot about America.
Yeah.
And I really highly doubt that before 9/11 there were any sort of stereotypes about Muslims at all, in terms of like terrorists.
Yeah.
And there obviously was no thing about ISIS. That's only recently in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's really hurting the reputation of what America's supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be known as the melting pot of the world. And when you have guys like Donald Trump who are saying we need to ban all Muslims or
temporarily, let's
ban,
remember that.
Right. But to me it kind of hurts that original mission statement, if you will, of America.
And I mean, like the 9/11 situation, I think it really affected the government's rights to look inside of your life.
Right.
As far as everything you have to do, the government can see it.
Right.
They're in every little aspect of your life.
And they have America's permission almost, because after 9/11, they basically said, look, we know this bad thing happened, but you can trust us. We know what to do. and they took the American citizens under their wing, which is a good thing to do, but I think some of the things they did with that power were very irresponsible and almost evil, if you will.
And here's my thing. I guarantee you, if there weren't any gun restrictions on those planes, and I mean, I'm not saying everybody should have a gun, but I'm just saying if a couple people had guns on that plane, had their permission to carry, then I think that would have changed the outlook of American history.
Right. And you know what else I think? An argument I got into is that when I talk about how I think 9/11 was done by the government and how Building 7 was sort of the cherry on top.
Yeah.
People always get mad and say that I'm discounting the lives that were lost.
Yeah.
And that's not
true at all.
Right.
You're trying to help.
Yeah, I want closure for those families
and discover the truth of what happened in that situation.
Yeah. And I know it's kind of harsh to say that your government would kill your husband or your child or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would rather know exactly what happened and have the truth than be like, oh, well, some people say terrorists did it. Some people say the government did it. Some people say no one knew about it. Like, there's even theories that no planes even hit the buildings.
Yeah.
That it was like a holographic projection. I don't know what I think about that.
I don't know about all
Yeah,
that,
I mean, there's pretty good video evidence, but also, I mean, it could have been tampered with. I don't know.
Yep, and you know, another aspect would be like George Bush's presidency at the time. At the time, his polls were at an all-time low, and he really needed something to boost his polls.
Right.
So, his approval ratings.
Right.
So, I know that after 9/11, he gave a few speeches in the area, the ground zero, that it did happen to the firefighters and everything. His approval ratings, skyrocketed.
Right.
So, it was very beneficial to him. And it was to me, I think that it was another way for the United States to get into war with Iraq.
Oh, yeah. I know there was I don't know if it was the 9/11 Commission, because I think it was before, but, excuse me, there was I don't know if it was an essay or an article written about how to make America great again.
Yeah.
And I think it was published in the 90s, and one of the things in it specifically said, we need another Pearl Harbor, or a Pearl Harbor-like disaster. And when you think about it, you're kind of right. Like, when people challenge us is when we show our power.
Yeah.
And we definitely did, because we went in Iraq and destroyed it, which is a little inhumane, especially because it wasn't even the right area.
Yeah, and then there's plenty of innocent people who live in there also.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you think about in 19... what was it when Pearl Harbor happened?
1941.
41.
It was either November 7th or December 7th.
Yeah. So,
1941. This day will live in infamy.
Yeah. Then you have September 11th, 2001, and I wonder, what the next big thing will be.
Yeah.
Because there's so many. This is going to sound weird, but this isn't what I believe. There's so many good opportunities that can come from a terrorist attack. Number one, you automatically get permission to do anything
that you want
in the military.
Country,
yeah. You can go over there and do whatever. Number two, that's automatically a blanketing statement for any question anyone asks you.
Yeah.
You can automatically revert back to that.
You could just say that, they killed 3,000 of our citizens and we have to get our justice.
Yeah.
So.
And even an unrelated question, you could relate it back to 9/11, and that's what Barack Obama's done before. That's what George Bush did long after his presidency. And I'm really kind of surprised he got reelected, which makes me wonder a little bit.
I don't know
about that.
Well, who was he? He was facing John Kerry.
John Kerry. I remember that because my family, I think I grew up Democrats. My family are Democrats, and I remember them rooting for John Kerry.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised that George Bush won, and I was surprised when Al Gore didn't win.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he should have won because
my family, we're historically Democrats, and I am more on the independent side of things. But yeah, they were in favor of John Kerry and Barack Obama.
Yeah. Well, I was in. I think the time I started to shift away from being a Democrat or a Republican, either one, because I'm independent as well, was the year after the election for Barack Obama, because I was rooting for Obama because,
As was I.
right, just because I
wanted to see a black president.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna just say it is.
Yeah, I wanted to see that too. It was going to be historically relevant during my lifetime, which is awesome to me. Especially when you think about all the struggles that we've had with race in America alone. So, about 2009,
we may have have our first women president.
Yeah, that's possible too. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
just because.
I mean, she's kind of has a bad record.
Yeah,
as far as honesty. So
right,
I don't know.
But we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to stick on the topic of 9/11.
Yeah, so I think 9/11 has really kind of changed people's political beliefs too.
Yeah,
it probably shifted a lot of people, left or right, either way. When 9/11 happened, you see the reactions. If a Democrat sees the reaction of another Democrat and says, "Well, that's not what I'm about," so he switches, or people shift to independent because they realize that. Pretty much
system's messed up.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of arguing.
Yeah,
it's like it's just a bunch of kids, and I think Building 7 has really it puts the cherry on top, like I said earlier. When it falls, it's almost I don't want to say proving, but it's to the point where you look at it and say that's not a plane didn't hit that. It wasn't compromised in any way.
And it somehow fell down at the rate at which it did.
Right. So. At 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, that's very crazy.
And it changes just political rhetoric from forever.
Yep.
And I'm a little worried.
Yeah. So I'll say this, and this will be me wrapping it up. 9/11 has negatively shaped our country in a way in which it will be discussed for the rest of the history of our country. 9/11 will not go away. It will not quiet down. It will be something that changes our future.
Because the government knows we're going to listen.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember to like, subscribe, tell 5 of your friends about the Fruitfully Honest podcast. I'm your host, Robert Jones, with my co-host,
Jack Caroselli.
And we wish you love, peace, and soul.
See you later.